Is that something that you can also apply as a teacher for students? Because as students attending your class, right? What did it look like when you started? Because I'm sure you didn't have as many theatrics as you do now, right? So
that's right.
How did you converge to this state of teaching where you found that showing students, like having small explosions in the class,
right,
is the way for them to start caring about the science that you work on?
Right. So I did this intentionally. I had always thought one of the beauties of being a professor was I can go and sit in any class and I can learn all sorts of cool stuff, right? I'd always thought this would be so cool to do. Then, of course, the realities of a given day takes place. And am I really going to take Monday, Wednesday, Friday at 3? Am I really going to truck across campus to go sit in some class because I want to learn something interesting, right? When you're trying to get tenure and you're trying to, do the right thing for your students and you're trying to prepare your next lectures. I mean, it's a really busy job, really. But I really wanted to do that. And I also really wanted to learn how to become a better teacher. So what I did is I recognized right after I teach, that next hour, I'm usually not good for a whole much, right? Because I've really poured everything into my class. And I'm already on campus, away from my office. So then I started looking in the this wasn't online at this point, right? But in the pamphlets of courses being taught. What courses are immediately after my course, somewhere on the quad, all right? Tons of them, right? If I taught Monday, Wednesday at 2, there's a bunch of courses Monday, Wednesday at 3. Monday, Wednesday, Friday at 3. And then, even back then in the 80s, the newspaper published the incomplete list of teachers rated excellent by their students, okay? And then there's a little asterisk for the ones that are in the top 10%. So I took that list of all these different classes that were right after mine, cross-correlated that by hand with the ones that the professors had asterisks by their names, right? And said, aha! An English class on Alfred Hitchcock films, okay? And it's taught by this really good person. Okay, I'll go and ask if I can sit in that person's class. Another semester, it was a sociology class, a revolution and riot, right? Another time it was an anthropology class, something about human behavior. I think about 7 times I did that. And I went, and I didn't do the homework, and I didn't do the reading. I did watch the movies. All right. Okay. And I observed, learned something cool, but really I was observing how the person went about teaching, how they engaged the students. And then I tried to pick up those things.
And what were they?
It's hard to remember a specific lesson from a specific class.
Right.
But over time, I've certainly developed good teaching techniques, right?
So let's say, how did you start? Let's start with that, and then we compare what you do today, and then we can piece along.
Yeah.
Because I can tell you, when we started, this place did not look as fancy as it does right now. It was a black screen,
there we go.
One camera,
right,
barely any light, and it's 2 people.
Right.
Well,
yeah, and like to start in one aspect of what you do, which I highly appreciate, that no one does, is that you have this appreciation for theatrics, to put it in a certain way.
Yeah.
I saw a video from a couple years ago.
Okay.
You were entering a classroom and then someone had to blow something up in order
yes,
to
yes, I like to improve in a puff of smoke. Right.
Like that first interaction, that
yes.
first class, that's my professor.
Yes.
Wow, like this is what college is about. Do they?
Yes.
Hello, syllabus week.
Yeah. So let me talk about the theatric part. Okay. So I created this class all about energy. I was first put in a 1-hour class that only nuclear engineering freshmen went to, and it was just about what is nuclear power, from a layperson perspective. And when I came here, I was a physicist. I knew nuclear power existed. I didn't really know a whole lot, because I was hired here to do fusion. All right. So in the fission world, I had to learn a lot, right? And then I had to learn how to teach it. So you're doing this 1 hour class. And then I soon recognized any power source is going to have negatives. It's going to have positives. And only by comparing one energy source to another can you really explain why fission is good or bad, or this is good or bad, right? So then I proposed expanding this class to 3 hours and not just talking about nuclear, but talking about all of the energy sources. And that's how 101 was created. I also recognize that if you want people to take a class, it has to check off a box, right? So I had to make sure my class could get counted as a gen ed science elective, right? You guys are engineers, right? We have to take so many English and sociology and this and that. Well, the sociology majors of the world have to take so many physical science classes, right? To make sure that class counted. And then you needed a friendly name, and I got it cross-listed as Environmental Studies 101. And a lot of people were very hesitant to take NPR, Nuclear Engineering 101, right? Okay. Okay, so I manage this. I have this group of people. They're non-science majors generally. This is their bit of science they're going to get. I really want them to learn these things. And then every day in class, fewer and fewer people show up. Okay. How do you solve that? Some people say, okay, we're going to have pop quizzes, or attendance is going to be 10% of your grade, and we'll take attendance. But I think it's much better. Make people want to come to class.
Right.
Make class so fun and interesting, they want to come. All right? And that's where the theatrics started. That's where, if I was going to blow something up every day in class, they'd want to be there. I was simply trying to get people to come. Then, as I went along and I learned more the study of learning and teaching, That's it. That word. Pedagogy. As I learned more about pedagogy, I also learned people have a interest break point. You get about 10 minutes, and then they're going to start wandering off into something else. If you can punctuate every 10 minutes by something exciting, or better yet, something they have to touch, right? When I do this, I like bringing in examples, like bringing physical objects. Teach about coal. Have you ever held a lump of coal in your hand? Well, pass this lump of coal around class, right? When all of a sudden your other senses are engaged, you're not just listening and maybe writing something down, right, and watching, but you also have to touch something, right? Smell it, right? You want to get other people's senses, and you want to interrupt that process so they don't fall asleep every 10 minutes, right? Or tune you out. Or these days, start looking at their phone. Okay. So part of then punctuating my lectures with explosions or with something that would engage everyone once again became the way to do that. Now, I don't do that when I'm teaching a 500 level course, okay? Because there's a different motivation behind the graduate students who are there trying to learn the knowledge. But when you're teaching at 100 level of gen ed, where I have to be here because I have to get at least one science credit, right? That's where I had brought in the theatrics to try to get people to want to come to class. And only if they come to class can I teach them something, right? So
I saw a Reddit post from 2014, and someone asked, the question was, what are the best gen eds to take? Yeah. And then someone said, take David Ruzic's class because he literally makes an effort to blow something up in every lecture. So that's how literally they describe the class and how they liked it so much that they were recommending it to other people.
Yeah. That was word of mouth was a key consideration to get people year after year. I loved it. I enjoyed that. I feel bad that I'm not teaching it, but I recognize there are other people who can, and the stuff I'm teaching now, there are not necessarily other people who can teach it. And I don't want to teach 2 classes every semester because I got a big research group, right? So I'm always thinking that. So when I started as a professor, I was 26. was kind of the age of some of the grad students, right? You had some grad students older than me. And then I went through the period where I actually had my children in class, okay? Here, at least 4 out of 5 of them were, came here and they took 101. And then I always said, oh, I got to keep teaching so that my grandchildren will be here. My oldest 2 grandchildren are 15. So in 3 years, I don't know if they're going to get in here if they want to come here, right? But that would be pretty cool. But, you know, the thing is, even if I go emeritus, I can always come back and teach some stuff, right? So that was